A group of pastors marched to the union buildings on Friday, where they demanded President Ramaphosa reopen churches under the adjusted Level 3 lockdown. The pastors represented around 257 charismatic independent churches across the country. Now, Reverend Chris Matebula, the lead pastor of Hope Restoration Ministries, joins us now, and together with the South African Council of Churches General Secretary Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana. Good evening. To you both, and thank you so much for your time tonight. Yesterday here on the show, we had a conversation with a representative of, this group of churches that are calling for the reopening of churches. And part of their reason, Rev Matebula, if I can begin with you, they say to us that they feel that this is a discrimination. If restaurants can be open, churches should be open. What's your position on that?
Yeah, thank you for having us, and greetings to the viewers at home. I have to say that this is a dicey situation. You've got pastors who are conducting funerals almost every day, with 50 people. But you are also saying to the very same pastors, you can't conduct a service. You've got people who are going to a mall and they go to the cinema, going to the restaurants, and they conduct, their business. And here you are saying to the pastors, don't do that. That is why I'm saying this is a dicey situation. I strongly believe that the government must actually use a same standard to everybody. Don't just say no churches, and you say other people, they must operate. The very same virus that is in the church, it is the same virus that is actually in the restaurants. So, personally, maybe just for the records, I was not in that group of the pastors who were marching. But let me tell you, they've got a point. The point is here, you must use a same standard to everybody. I think the government must actually, get their facts right if they don't want to see other pastors complaining. That would be my take at this present moment.
Dr. Mpumlwana, as I bring you into this conversation, I'd like to then know what, the South African Council of Churches thinks of this, because as Reverend Matebula says, treat everybody equally, because the same virus that is at the cinema is the same virus that could be at, wherever else. So should then churches be reopened?
I'll give you, first of all, what the Council of Churches has said at the meetings that has been held with the religious leaders, as well as what the church leaders have said in their own meeting. It's clearly not at odds with what Bishop Matebula is saying. The churches, the SACC churches have said, and this is what they said in the meeting that was held with government, that to the extent that 50 people, in fact, this is the same thing that we campaigned for at the first third level 3 that was given, that 50 people can worship. We believe it should be allowed. We did say that in the same way that restaurants are opened for 50 people, churches can do the same. But I think that should also be done in the context of saying the first and primary thing in our minds is how to ensure that we drive down the infection rate in the country. And if we do that and open our churches in the context of driving down, with that as paramount in our minds, I think that all of us are saying the same thing. And that's what we have said, and that's what our resolutions have said.
And Bishop Mpumlwana, as someone that has been in those meetings with government, part of what they said yesterday when you listen to, their march to the union buildings is that they were never consulted or are not even part of the group that is informed about developments and what exactly is going on there. Who then are the representatives of the churches that are then speaking to government, and why would we then see some of the pastors, around 257 churches, saying that they are not included in this particular process, then therefore they don't even know what's happening?
I should say that nobody, at least not that I know of, was consulted for the decision to create level 3. We didn't know. We all were surprised in the same way. But there was a meeting that was convened subsequent to that, I think 2 weeks into the level 3. where there was a religion, we received an invitation to an interfaith meeting. Now, obviously, we don't invite ourselves to that. It is the government that does the inviting. So I think that all organized structures should present themselves for such invitations. They must introduce their structures. I suppose they simply just invited those that they were familiar with in terms of historically having been there. But if there any new structure that emerges, I think they've got a right to say, we are here, we represent so-and-so, and we would like to be part of any conversations in the future. But I can assure you, we were not consulted before the first shutdown at all. We were just as surprised as everyone else. But we did get into a meeting. Of course, I personally didn't attend because there was a death in my family. But the SACC was run by its leaders, and the case they made in that meeting was that we should at least allow 50 worshippers so that we can do the pastoral administrations. And then we had a subsequent meeting to that of all the heads of member churches of the SACC, and we passed that resolution that we're appealing for, not tomorrow, not later, but right now, for us to have the allowance of 50 people worshiping. So that's been our case. Of course, we didn't go to the union building, but we certainly made the same resolution.
Reverend Mathebula, there's been the sentiment that it's not only about pastoral care that will then be offered to the congregants that are then desperately looking for it at around this time, but others have also said that this is a time that may be behind the call for the reopening of churches, could also be because some of the churches are shutting down because there's no offering, and certainly pastors are struggling to pay rates and taxes.
Well, before I even answer that, let me also emphasize to say the government must use the same standard. Let us just start right there. They need to treat everybody equal. I've been following, all the comments people that are saying about pastors that they are opening because they are hungry and all those other things. I don't believe in that. Number one is that these are the people who are concerned about the spirituality of their people in the community. They need to serve them. And number two, yes, the very same pastors, they are human beings as well. They depend on the offering. There are those people really who are depending on the offering that comes in. The government puts us on the lockdown, and then there is nothing that is being discussed, for the pastors, and then who are sitting at home, they don't receive anything. All the time, they are sidelines as if they are not the citizens of the country. And I want to say to the people, I don't think it is fair when the pastors are standing for their rights and when we are saying it is because they are hungry, it is because of all those other things. Let us be fair here and deal with the matters in a right way. But besides that, we have a serious challenge here. People are dying. The very same pastor are the ones who must go and bury those people, be on the forefront. When they are supposed to be taken care of, it's like, no, they are not supposed to do that. I don't believe it's the right thing. And my point, I strongly believe, and then supporting the bishop here, to say, give us those 50 people. And I'll tell you why. You are keeping the momentum. People are hopeless. People are really discouraged. People are hurting and people are dying. And the most painful thing is that people are dying in our hospitals and then without anybody offering a prayer to them. Families are hurting. The pastors are not even there, So my point is, once again, let's treat everybody equal. I don't blame those pastors. If they were doing this because they are hungry, they need an offering. What's wrong with that? Because they are also human beings who must actually get something for the profession and the calling that they are doing. The government does not subsidize churches. Pastors, they depend on that, and we must never shy about that. So my part is that the government must use the same scale. If the government think that the business, they deserve to be open so that they can sustain it, even ministers, they must actually look at them so that they can look after their family, they can look after the community. We give a lot. I'm not blowing my own trumpet here. We support, pastors are supporting people, who are destitute and who do not have food. So let us consider that. That would be my take for this evening.
Certainly, Rev Mathebula, it really is a situation that calls for a conversation, hearing from what you and the bishop are saying. There certainly does look like there's a lot that needs to be ironed out, particularly on this, very issue. I'd like to thank you both, for your time, because certainly...
Let me just say one thing, please.
Okay. Yes, Bishop.
It is that the reason why even a small number like 50 is necessary is that the lockdown has caused a lot of pain, not only economically, but also has caused people to have a lot of increase in gender-based violence in the homes. It has also caused a situation where some people seek to commit suicide because they've lost everything. They've lost their businesses, they've lost their jobs. And so the opportunity to come to church once a week, it does not matter how many services a minister can organize throughout the week, if 50, it enables people to know that at least I can go somewhere for some counseling, for some pastor, for at least some consolation. I think this is important. So I think that we are quite serious when we say, just allow some people to be able to come to a place of worship once a while, provided they do the right things.
All right. Thank you so much for your time tonight. That was lead pastor of Hope Restoration Ministries, Reverend Chris Mathebula, and the SACC's General Secretary, Bishop Malusi Mpumlo.